All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Good morning and good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Brian Dar, and I am joined by Vantage Yos. We are from Valiantis, and we are here, I hope you are too, to talk about project portfolio management with Atlassian. I am the head of enablement for our company. I also am a safe practice consultant and an Atlassian certified expert. Vantika is one of our most excellent consultants and a real Atlassian guru. So hopefully we will be able to answer all of your questions on this and give you a thorough overview of everything possible within the PPM system within Atlassian. So let's get started. Today, we're going to talk first about kind of the why of what we're talking about. We're then going to go through a number of tools options, including things like advanced roadmaps, now known as plans, BigPicture, structure, Jira Align. We'll chat a little bit about Atlas as well, which is moving to the Atlassian platform. Fun stuff to talk about there. We're going to do a deep dive into most of those tools. And while we're doing that, we're going to talk about sort of the deciding factors as to why you would want to choose one tool over another. Then we're going to talk about some other tools that we're not going to cover in depth here, but certainly other options that we can definitely help you with if you have any questions on them later. And then, of course, Q&A if we have time at the end. So let's dive in. And really, thank you for coming. We really hope that you find this next 45 minutes to an hour to be valuable. Why project and portfolio management solutions within Atlassian? So first of all, everybody has a lot of work to do. And when you're with a small team, that work is very, very easy. There's less connections. But as you scale, you need bigger and bigger systems and processes to handle things like intake and prioritization, and then all the way down to the execution. So what we're trying to do is help figure out what are my teams working on. So we want to visualize the work being done across multiple portfolios. We want to align work to enterprise strategy through rolling up and connecting things all the way up to top-level enterprise goals. We want to be able to visualize things like capacity versus demand. We want to have clear dependency management. This will help avoid deadline slipping and confusion. Predictable, prioritized delivery of value. And really, all this kind of equates to less fire drills, too, because it shouldn't take everyday heroics to get work done in your company. It is important to call out that the way people work and plan can be quite different from enterprise to enterprise. Some enterprises are very agile, some are straight waterfall, but there's mostly a large number of people lying in the middle somewhere of hybrid planning and delivery configurations. We see that a lot among our clients. And so anyway, by adding the tools that we're going to talk about today to your tool stack, you can keep your planning and your delivery connected no matter what your environment. And here's a lovely re-summarization of what I just talked about, just to highlight things like risk mitigation, visibility, dependencies. You get the idea. All right, let's talk about implementation considerations. So one of the things we like to say internally in our company is first people, then process, then tools. Often it's not just a tool that you need, but it's a process change that a tool can support. I'm sure we've all had this experience of good tools reinforcing bad processes, or good tools reinforcing good processes. Of course, none of that matters if you've hired the wrong people. So we can't fix your people on this webinar, but we can at least talk about the tools and the processes that you'll need to implement them. Assuming your processes are optimized, then it's good to roll into the tool. In many cases, implementing these tools doesn't mean moving your team's collective cheese, to quote one of my favorite books. We are always pro-standardization for both training and cross-team synergies, but it's important to allow your teams to do what they do best with the processes that work for them. Even Atlassian frequently says, let people use the tool that works for them. Now, they hope it's Jira, and I would agree, it's a pretty great team-level tool. But in general, when we're rolling these changes out to hundreds and thousands of people, it's important to let them know that the standardization that we need really happens up at the second layer. If you're used to Jira, I'm talking about the epic layer. If you're used to Safe, I'm talking about the feature layer. But really, that's the layer that we have to standardize at so that management can provide prioritized and estimated work down to the teams. And then the teams can look at that standardized layer and break that down into the way that they're going to do it. The epics can be tagged with customers, products, whatever you need to provide roadmaps for the company. And they can also tie up to higher level initiatives, allowing your contributor levels tasks to roll up through the company strategy. Each of the tools that I'm going to talk about today, with the exception of Jira Align, can be done with just a few teams to start. This will allow you to solve emergent company challenges, smooth off the edges, and provide what I like to call sort of a light on the hill experience that will attract everyone else to this much more effective way of working. So let's dive into the tools. So the ones we're going to talk about today are advanced roadmaps, now known as plans. I'm still calling it this because I think a lot of people might not have gotten the memo yet. Structure and Structure Gantt, BigPicture and BigPicture Enterprise, Jira Align, and then there's a surprise tool I'm going to talk about, which is Atlas, which is not quite a PPM tool. I mean, in fact, it's far from it, but it may cover some of the needs that are commonly described by people looking at these sort of tool sets. All right, so let's start first with advanced roadmaps. This is possibly my favorite Atlassian tool besides just basic Jira. Advanced roadmaps is a cross-project, well, I should say plans because it's now called plans, but it is a cross-Jira project road mapping and visualization tool that has team-level capacity, and it has a limited auto-scheduling functionality. It is native in Jira Cloud Premium and also within Data Center if you're still on that. Let me make sure they didn't have anything more. Yeah, okay. All right. It is organized around something called a plan. And basically, you're looking at a plan right here. So this plan has its own definable scope, its own definable views, its own definable scenarios, and its own definable permissions. One of the most important things to note before diving into advanced roadmaps is that it is not a Gantt chart, not in the least. It is merely a visual reconstruction of the data existing in Jira. In a way, you could liken it to a Jira Kanban board in that it takes a filter and it shows Jira issues in a new way. But it is a very powerful tool, and I think that you'll find it very helpful. So we're going to hop right into a live demo of this. Live demos are always dangerous because you never know what's going to break, but let's see what happens. So what we're looking at here is this is a live plan in our demo instance. And the first thing you see along the left side menu is, well, there's some settings down here. And within the settings, we have said, pull in data from 3 different teams projects, along with our release trains epic project, along with our portfolios initiative project. So all of that data is coming into this plan, and now we can visualize it in multiple ways. The first way to visualize it is a timeline, which you're seeing here. There's also a new calendar feature that's getting added. And then there's teams and releases, which is more of a setting. And then you get this dependency map down here, which we will show you later on. Just a quick walkthrough. Down over here on the left side, I've got a scope view. So I've got all of these epics that are broken down into stories. And then I've got all of these other views. And pardon the view, I'm zoomed in pretty full to show this. But basically, we have target start, target end dates at the epic layer. And we've got implied target start, target end based on sprints at the team layer. And then you can just see all this data over here. And you can scroll around in it. You can zoom in and out. You can have this be a rolling view. You can also switch. You can sort of adjust the views to reduce white space. But hopefully you're already getting excited about the idea of presenting information from this view and not necessarily in a PowerPoint, because that's a big benefit to this. So let me talk about the views really quick. So this is one saved view. I've chosen to show these fields and this time frame. I've got another view, if I zoom up a layer, that would be initiative planning. And here we see initiatives broken down into epics, all the same data, just viewed at a different layer in the hierarchy. And I've got a couple different fields here too. So let's talk about date behavior first, because that's a really important thing in a planning tool. Dates within plans appear shown on the roadmap based on manually updated start and end dates. So right here, I've got a target start and a target end date. And whatever I set here, that's how it's going to show up here. I can't, like if I move an object here, it's not going to move any of its children. It's not going to move any sort of sequential dependencies. So just keep that in mind. But again, for a lot of people that are just starting out, this visualization is more than enough. Parents can inherit children's dates. So if you see here, this sort of barber's pole striping, this is because this epic is getting roll-ups from its children's stories. Dependency behavior. Dependencies are all what I would call soft dependencies. They are Jira links within Jira. So I just made a blocks and is blocked by link by doing that. Based on how it appears, the link will turn red or green. But the dependencies are, again, soft. So updating an issue's dates will not update its dependents. And there's nothing enforced by Jira links. This is a human readable signal that something needs to happen before something else. Sandboxing is an important PPM tool. Plans has sandboxes. They are called scenarios. So here I'm currently in the best case scenario. I could switch to the worst case scenario over here. And again, it's got the same data that has been brought into this, but now I'm making different changes to that data. So I've got a lot of options for, plan A versus plan B. We can scope it all out. And then what's nice is about this sandbox is you'll see that the changes I'm making in this sandbox or in this scenario, these changes are in red and they're being collected up here under review changes. If I go back to the green scenario, all the changes I'm making here are being collected in green and are then up here to push. So when I'm done making my changes, when we all agree out of the planning that we need to push these changes, I can come to this screen and I can save all of this stuff in Jira, push it out to the teams, everything's taken care of. And there's a lot of functions within this push about which ones you want to change, show me stuff changed today, show me stuff changed by just me. It's a pretty helpful tool. Let's talk about estimation. So you can estimate based on story points or based on time tracking. You can't do a hybrid though. And there's no native conversion like this many story points equals this much time. What you could do natively though is you could write an automation for Jira that every time the story points field is updated, based on the team that is doing that, it could update an original estimate field instead. So that is a way to do conversion between estimates. Let me show you here. If I go down to the epic layer, we will have our story points here. So we can see that we have our epics rolling up story points, and we have our story points down here at the task level. Critical path is an important thing in a PPM tool. There is no critical path highlighting within plans. However, we do have this dependency map. So if you want to see, you can roll up to a certain layer, so you can see which epics are dependent on each other based on children, and you can fit this all in here and then show this in a presentation and notice that all the ones that are red means that we are inappropriately sequenced. I think a lot of people, when they look for PPM tools, want something to do all the thinking for them. The one thing I like about plans is that it does not a lot of the thinking for you, but it visualizes all of the problems that you might have. For example, if you have a problem with any issues, if we highlight here, this issue is still open after its planned end date. So it's going to highlight here and it's going to tell the owner of this plan, hey, you're probably not on track here. So no critical path, but we do have a dependency map. Baselines. There's also no baselining function within plans. Earliest start, latest end. There is no earliest start, latest end. Sharing visualizations. This is the other place where plans really shines. So you can save this view with the right fields in the right scope in the timeline. And you can save that as a very specific view for a very specific group of stakeholders. And then within that view, you can change everything. You can change the way that you're coloring things. You can change how you're sorting, how you're grouping, what your dependency lines look like, all of that stuff. And then when you're ready to share it, you can click share. And there's 5 different ways to share it. One, you can send a read-only link to somebody, and as long as they have permission to not only see the plan, but also see the stuff in the plan, they'll be able to see everything on here because Jira respects all of the permissions down in the projects. You can embed it in an iframe. You can drop it into a Confluence page. You can export all the values in a CSV, and you can also save an image to drop onto a PowerPoint presentation. So that's the planning behavior. Let's talk about resourcing. So if you want to do capacity planning and resourcing, this is the same data. It's just grouped by data here. So interesting. Let's just say alpha team. Oh, I got a bug. Somebody's messed with our demo, but we'll fix that later. So what you see here is I've got beta teams work, and these are work items that were tagged at a team level. So you can do team level work assignment along with individual level assignee within Jira. But the resourcing is only done around teams. The capacity is also only done around teams. And what I mean by that is here I've got beta teams sprints, and I can click into the sprint, and we can see that we have normally 40 points standard for our team. But for this week, I can drop it down to 30 because we know someone's going to be on vacation. So we've loaded up beta team with all this work. And if you are overloaded, like let's say that I drop this down to, let's say 20 because people are out of town, you're going to see that turn red. That's okay. And then that's just going to tell you that you need to update something. There's also often the idea of skills within PPM tools. So, show me the people who are skilled to do this particular task work. Again, plans starts at the team layer, not at the individual layer. So there's no individual skilling. There is an auto scheduler. And the auto scheduler is okay for team level things. The algorithm will take into account estimates and assignees and story points. I guess that's estimates, sprints, target dates, all of that stuff. And it will attempt to auto schedule for you. I will tell you that every year or so, I attempt to decode the auto scheduler to figure out why it does something. And every year I am surprised at the results that I get. So I personally can't recommend the auto scheduler right now. It's a little too opaque for us to recommend at this time, but still, I think this is an awesome tool for visualization. All right, so what are the deciding factors about this? Well, number one, it is native with Jira. It's free if you have Jira Premium or if you have Jira Data Center. It's not a Gantt chart, so it doesn't do things like dependency pushing or milestones. It's great for road mapping. It's great for team level resourcing and capacity planning. And it's great for sharing visualizations. And that's why you might want to choose advanced roadmaps. All right, on to the next. There's a lot of talking. Structure and structure Gantt. So structure is a robust Gantt chart add-on onto Jira. It comes in 2 deployments. You can use it in cloud or you can use it in data center. And where advanced roadmap / plans, the primary object is a plan. In Gantt and structure Gantt, the primary object is a Gantt chart. Well, technically, it's something called a structure and a Gantt chart attached to it, which is why it's 2 different add-ons rolled into one. The Gantt is built off of a structure. And actually, within this preview here, you can see on the left, we have a structure, which is basically like a hierarchy tree of the work in Jira. It reflects the hierarchies in Jira, or if you need to, a custom hierarchy. And then over here, it displays dates and dependencies across a timeline. Structure Gantt is a Gantt chart. And so if you need to do Gantt type behavior, such as intra-Gantt scheduling and baselines and critical paths and stuff, this is the tool for you so far in our walkthrough tools today. Each structure in Gantt has its own definable scope, its own definable hierarchy, its own definable views, its own definable scenarios, baselines, scheduling, and resourcing behavior. So let's show off the tool. I will tell you that I'm not as good with structure as I am with advanced roadmaps, but bear with me. Let's talk about dates. So if we expand one of these and we see all this information here, we can, first of all, kind of like in the scope view within plans, we can pull in other fields that matter to us. We can even make up custom formulated fields within structure as well, which has nothing to do with the Gantt, but is a pretty cool feature in here. So the dates, when I come here, these dates of epochs are rolled up from tasks, and dates can be automatically determined based on the duration. I'm sorry. Dates and the duration of a task can be based on its properties. So based on the work estimate, based on the resources assigned, etc. And you can define properties of these. So if I click in here, we can see scheduling. Do I want to auto schedule or a manual schedule? Do I need to set a fixed duration? Are we going to base the duration off of story points? How many resources can work on this at a given time? How much work is estimated in it based on the estimate? What's the translation for time? Pretty awesome stuff here. So the dates can be auto set in here based on the properties of estimates, resources, and dependencies. The dependency behavior is as you would expect from a Gantt chart. So I just made a finish to start, but we can have all four classic Gantt style dependencies: finish to start, finish to finish, start to start, and start to finish. You can even add in a lead or lag time for it as well. So if you're getting more into physical processes versus just software writing, this could become more of a tool for you. There are sandboxes as well. However, sandboxes are currently still only available in the data center version of structure. So if you're on cloud and you need sandboxing, be careful, because everything in structure, as we move it around, everything here is actually updating Jira live. So to me, that's a bit of a drawback, but it may be okay for you. Estimation. You can use story points, you can use time tracking, you can use custom formulas, and structure also provides automatic conversion between story points. So if we hop here in the settings and we come to our scheduling, and we can see here we have this hours ratio, how many hours to one story point. Now I know that any strict agilist is clutching their pearls right now and not liking this field, but ultimately, if you're going to plan something in a calendar, you're going to have to translate story points to hours and days at some point. Critical path. There is a critical path within this tool. I'm trying to remember where the setting is. Yeah, there it is, critical path here. So we're actually seeing red highlighting around critical path as well. Where am I? Baselines. Yes, you can set multiple baselines, which is also pretty nice. So if you want to record where you are today, and then see how far you slipped next month, very, very useful. Or just see how bad you were at estimating in the first place. If you're like me, you're a terrible estimator. Early start, early finish, late start, late finish constraints. There are none in this tool. So if you're looking for that Gantt feature, you're going to want to look at our next tool, which is BigPicture, or again, Microsoft, but that's external to this ecosystem. As far as sharing visualizations of what you built, you can share, you can export, you can drop onto a Jira dashboard, which is pretty cool, or you can drop structure and structure Gantt into Confluence dashboards as well. So we can, we also have some native exporting here as well. Export to Excel, export to a Gantt chart. And then we have the share function where we can make sure that we can share it, and then you can copy a link, and then you can drop it in a gadget into Jira or Confluence. Resourcing behavior. Everybody loves resourcing. So you can drop in all of the resources here. You can do assignment of work by an individual or a team, which is helpful. You can do resource availability through shared structure calendars with working hours, with time zones, days, and holidays. Your resources can also be temporarily assigned a percentage of reduced capacity during a particular time. With capacity adjustments, like I showed a minute ago, you can set the max units per item. So you could even reduce this, like you could say 0.5, for example. And you can also set work calendars per resource. Tasks can also be set with a minimum, with a maximum task unit, which will determine how much of a resource a task can take. Individual skills are not available in this, unfortunately. And resource leveling is an option if you want to level the work of a resource across a period of time, but it's only available in the data center deployment. So basically, you can run the resource leveler in data center to shift sources based on a desired priority attribute to bring one or more resources back under 100% if they're maxed out. Leveling has a lot of options, including where to move completed items and started items, etc. What are the deciding factors of structure and structure Gantt? I've got to show you one thing I love too. So within the settings, you can set up these things that are called slices, and you can define a slice based on a JQL, an issue type, and then for anything falling under that query, you can have a whole separate set of behaviors. So if it's team X, then the story conversion point is 2 hours per story point. You can have different dependency behavior. You can have different timeline behavior. All of this comes out of slices. So there's some extremely powerful granular planning, down to coloring issues within structure Gantt if you need that sort of granularity. So also you can do, again, team and individual resourcing. You can do multiple baselines. You can do duration based on estimates. You can just use structure itself, because structure is a really cool visualization if you're not using plans. Again, no skills. Resource leveling in sandboxes only in DC. And it is also a useful tool for sharing visualizations. Cruising right along. BigPicture is the next possible tool. So tool number 3 today. BigPicture is, this is probably a North American metaphor, it's a Swiss Army knife. It's a multi-tool. It has a feature called Big Gantt, which is also a standalone product. It also has modules for agile and program boards, risk management, roadmaps and objectives. You can do really detailed resourcing within it. You can do teams, you can do calendars, and you can do additional custom reporting. It's crazy. It's a really big tool. And to explain the next thing, I'll tell you that BigPicture is organized around a concept called a box. So whereas in plans we had a plan, and in structure we had a structure plus Gantt, here we have a box that contains a set of issues that is going to be planned in a certain way. And boxes aren't just collections of issues. Boxes can be a portfolio. A box could be a portfolio increment or a quarter. It could be an iteration within that increment. It could be a sprint. It could be a phase of a plan. If this sounds a little complicated, it is, but I'll show you in a second how you can plan in different ways live in the tool. If you have BigPicture Enterprise, you can have unlimited box types, unlimited scenarios. You can get cross box / plan resource viewing. You can rename modules. You can integrate with Tempo. You can do data residency. But basically, you need BigPicture Enterprise if you want to go with this. The deployment of this is on cloud and data center. Oh, here we go. This is a better explanation. So BigPicture is structured in boxes. Box types define how boxes relate to each other. So examples are a box could be a portfolio, a program, a PI, an iteration, a project, a phase, or an initiative. Let's dive into the tool and talk about all the stuff that BigPicture does. So this is the main view. I'm looking at various boxes here, and what I've done is I've got a demo portfolio where I'm pulling in just a bunch of data, kind of like I did back in the plan for advanced roadmaps. But then if you want to do a hybrid structure, you could have this portfolio, and you could have an agile program functioning here. Ooh, there we go. You can have a PI broken down by an iteration, and you can see the types over here. And then you can have a waterfall project here where you can have a project and a stage. And each of these can collect its own issues, and they can all live semi-harmoniously in this overview. And then you can get the roll-up of to-do in progress done statusing here, which, by the way, to-do in progress done roll-ups are available in all of the tools that we've shown today so far. So if I hop into my demo portfolio, let's talk about planning behavior. This is where I would pause the recording normally. All right, so again, not too far of a thing, not too far off from what we have already looked at so far. On the left side, we have our classic work breakdown structure, and on the right side, we have our Gantt chart. BigPicture is a Gantt, so you can be happy about that if you're looking for a Gantt chart. Date behavior. Issues will appear in the Gantt based on manually updated start and end dates, or auto-scheduled dates based on dependency links. Unlike structure, BigPicture does not look at estimates to determine duration. So you have to set the duration yourself. You can select top-down, bottom-up, manual, or locked scheduling. So if I right-click here, we can see scheduling mode here, and I can do auto bottom-up. So, schedule the epics based on the stories, or I can do top-down, constrain the stories based on the epic. I can do manual, or I can lock it. Dependency behavior. So we can make dependencies. Just like before, we can do start to start, start to end, start to start, end to start, end to end, so classic. And then those are what I would consider hard Gantt dependencies. You can also do this optional lag time as well, which is quite helpful. You can also do ASAP mode, or turn off ASAP mode, which will offer looser scheduling while still respecting the dependency link type. BigPicture also differentiates between strong links and soft links. Strong links are solid lines on the Gantt chart, and then soft links are just human readable links. So if you want to do a forced, start to start, start to end, in a waterfall style, and then have it all push out, you can do that. Or you can also choose to make visible the soft links, which are the rest of the links out of Jira. So if you want to see what a software developer has said about this issue blocking this issue, you can show that. So like here, I've got strong links here, finish to start, and then I have these soft links down here, which are just blocks as blocked by, and you can see that it's a soft one here. So kind of some cool options there with linking. Sandboxes, you can have multiple sandboxes. However, you can only have multiple in BigPicture Enterprise, and that's done through scenarios here. Estimation, you can estimate with time tracking using original estimate or remaining estimate, or you can do story points. You can do automatic conversion between story points and time, and that is configurable on a per box basis. Critical path highlighting you can do. I'm trying to remember where that is. It's been just a few. Yeah, visibility. There we go. We can turn on critical path redlining, which I guess I don't have a critical path here. And that'll help. We can also turn on progress percentages on items, things like that. Baselines. You can set a baseline for the entire Gantt or per issue. The baseline dates will actually save back into a custom Jira field. But you can only have one baseline per issue. So if you want to take multiple baselines throughout a project, this is not the tool for you. There are no, oh, I'm sorry. I said in the last tool that this exists. It doesn't in this tool either. Early start, early finish, late start, late finish. There are no constraints for that in BigPicture either. If you want to share visualizations, you pretty much have to have an extra add-on. So I'm not as much of a fan of that within this tool. Let's talk about resourcing. So we have a similar thing like in structure. You can do individual assignment, but you can't do team assignment in this tool. You can do availability through shared workload plans, shared holiday plans, and individual absence adjustments. You can do capacity adjustments through those shared workload plans and then apply them to an individual. You can do skilling. This is a big selling point of BigPicture. If I hop over into an issue, there's like a BigPicture panel here. There we go, BigPicture skills. So we can open this up and you could say, let's see. You could say, all right, this one requires project manager, find me the perfect match, or maybe a tester. And then there's this perfect match function, and then it'll go through all of your resources and say which ones can do it, which ones have time. So if you are extremely granular in your planning, this is possibly a very good tool for you. Leveling across resources, that is not available. And cross-plan / cross-box resourcing, yes, is available if you have BigPicture Enterprise. And again, it's not just the Gantt. If you're getting BigPicture and BigPicture Enterprise, there's the scope view over there, which you see. You can set up objectives. There's the resourcing module that we're looking at. You can control teams. You can do a risk functionality. So there's a lot of other tools in here as well, if you find that particularly helpful. Checking the time. All right. So deciding factors. Multiple tools in one place. Risk, program board, count. Oh yeah, program board. Didn't even mention that. That's also in this tool if you're running safe and/or quarterly planning. Cross-plan resource views, skills, resource contouring is available, but not resource leveling. There's limited configuration within boxes. You can basically configure it around Jira projects. So I'm not a huge fan of the configuration within boxes, but it's there and okay. And you have to have this additional add-on to export visualizations. Jira Align. Jira Align is Atlassian's flagship enterprise level tool. That being said, I'm also seeing them put a lot of Jira Align's features into regular Jira too. So if you're looking at Jira Align versus Jira, you should definitely talk to us because we can help you decide which tools and/or which set of add-ons can accomplish what you're trying to accomplish within your system. So the structure of Jira Align is an enterprise tool for scaled agile companies. And it is a standalone application that connects to Jira. And it runs through all the layers of scale, from the team to the program to the solution and portfolio layer, all the way up to the enterprise layer. It takes a while to implement. It takes at least 3 months, and you have to implement per portfolio. You can start per program, I guess, but it takes a lot of change management because when you're moving this many people into a tool, that's just something to consider. I find the other tools that we talked about today a little bit easier to piecemeal roll into. We actually have a webinar. It either happened this morning or it's happening soon. That is a deep dive into Jira Align if you want. But let's talk about some of the features. One of them is Jira Align has roadmaps just like plans. Jira Align has OKRs. Jira Align has a program board like you're seeing now. Ooh, oh, it's all here. Great. Yeah, we have roadmaps, OKRs, program board, different strategy rooms. This is a strategy room here, which is basically bringing in a dashboard of a given area of the tool. So show me a dashboard of my program during this particular PI, or show me a dashboard of my strategy for the next 3 years, things like that. And it does pretty cool dependency management. Within Jira Align, dependency management is actually a conversation between people. You submit a dependency, the other team agrees to the dependency, and then the other team completes the dependency. So it's a nice ecosystem. Oops. Well, there was supposed to be a tour here, so I'll show you. So This is Jira Align, now rebranded to look much more Atlassianified. This was an acquisition from about 5 years ago. And so across, we see the different layers of scale that we're going to dive into. So you can start all the way up top at the enterprise layer if you want. And then you can choose your strategic snapshot, because strategy changes year over year. And we can see here a visual representation of all of our work items rolling up to our goals. And then we have this layer over here where we have objectives and strategic goals, which is a many-to-many relationship within the tool. So you can have your business objectives separate from your work items. You can see your overall strategic backlog. So we can see our mission, our themes, our epics. You can see a strategy tree breakdown where we break this down. Again, this isn't a great stock to demo site, but we can do roadmaps. We can see a strategic backlog. And as you go down the layers of scale, like I'm going to skip portfolio and go to program. And if I find, let's say, the mobile, there we go, the mobile program. Here we see our the list of features that this program is going to work on. We can dive into these features and get some really detailed information around them, including design, value mapping, how much we're spending on these features, a forecast as to when these features will be over. And you can see that we can choose the primary program that's going to work on it. You can enable multiple programs to work on a feature if you want. You can tag it with a product. You can get a product level roadmap thanks to that tagging. You can see our backlog roadmaps. One of the biggest features that this tool has right now that you can get with some other add-ons, but it's really good in this tool, is the program board. So we can see based on sprints what features each team is working on over this particular quarter. And there's a very colorful map up here showing you everything that this board is telling you. But basically, the closer to red it is, the more disastrous it is. So it'll tell you things like, do you have a scheduling issue? Do you have a risk that's applied to it that hasn't been roamed yet? Is it in progress, etc. I talked about dependencies earlier, so let me grab a dependency and show what that looks like. So a dependency is its own work item in Jira Align. So we can see that here, this is the workflow. This dependency has been requested, but the other team hasn't committed to it yet. Once they commit, this will turn blue. And then once they complete the work, it'll turn completed over here. So you can see when they want it done, what's the feature it relates to, who's requesting it, who does it depend on, are we blocked, have we committed to a certain time. You can relate the work to it. So this is a big, high-level, sort of massive portfolio planning tool. It's not a Gantt chart. So if you're looking for like traditional PPM stuff, it's not that. But if you're a safe shop, scaled agile framework, you will love this tool. All right, there's just a couple more small things that I want to talk about, and they're not on the slides. So let me just come back here and we'll stare at a commercial while I talk about something else. First, if you're using Microsoft Project, and if your PMO is married to Microsoft Project, that does not mean that you are out of luck for connecting your planning to your execution in Jira. So what you can do is there's a couple of tools that we help people configure. One of them is SEPTA Bridge. The other one's Fluent Pro Integration Hub. And these will allow us to do some linking between project and Jira and some synchronization, mostly at layers above Epic. So you basically link down to the Epic, translate that into Jira. And so you do your planning at Microsoft and you push the epics to Jira. And again, that's that standardization layer that really matters. And then you let the teams work in Jira the way that they want to work. There's one other tool that I want to talk about, and that is Atlas. And there's been a lot of buzz around Atlas. So let me just talk about that for a second. Atlas is a goal and reporting tool made by Atlassian. Now, what's actually happening to Atlas is the product Atlas is going away, but all of its features are going to get pushed into Jira proper, which is just fantastic. I don't know if you saw the announcements from Team 24 this year, but Jira Work Management and Jira Software are merging together, and then Atlas stuff is coming into it. But basically, the idea of Atlas is that you can set goals, and then you can mark these goals as on track or off track. People can follow the goals and get progress. And then you can nest goals. So if you're doing OKRs, for example, you can have your objective here and your key results down here. And then each of these, so 50% increase in ticket sales. This is the goal object. And so here you can define the goal. You can add comments. You can have an owner and then followers. You can give it a parent or a child. And as far as I know, it's a pretty unlimited hierarchy. Now, why am I talking about goals? Because I think when a lot of people think about portfolio planning, they're also thinking about achieving company objectives. And they may not have thought yet about this aspect of tracking company objectives within the Atlassian ecosystem. Every goal comes with its own update feed. And if you're the owner, you're going to be prompted to write an update every month. And the update has to be less than 280 characters, or it'll not let you post it, which is great because when you're reporting to executives, they're not going to read more than 280 characters anyway. So you're encouraged to be brief or add pictures or add links. And every time you update, you have to say, are we on track, off track, at risk, etc. And when are we going to be done by? And you can do specific dates, fuzzy months, or even fuzzier quarters as you do these goals. And then if you go over into a tool such as advanced roadmaps, and I haven't enabled this yet, but let me see if I have it on one of these views. But you can actually bring in the goals from Atlas. There we go. Over here. So you can tag the work that you're doing in Jira and say this relates to accomplishing a certain goal. And then when you're back over here within Atlas, you'll see the Jira work that has been tagged with it, which is pretty awesome. There's one more feature in Atlas that's kind of cool. It's called projects. Soon it'll be called project updates. And what this is a summary of the execution of the work to achieve a goal. So we have the goal object, and then we have the project overview object. And the project overview asks you to write an update every week instead of every month. It can have multiple contributors, and you can synchronize it to a Jira issue. So you can have it synchronized to an epic or an initiative, pretty much anything epic and above. And then it'll show up over in Jira as a linked item. So if you're working on an initiative in Jira and you want to give an update to your boss, and not even a goal, just how's the initiative going, which is probably completing a goal, you wouldn't just say, look at all the tasks I got done this week. You'd write a 280 character update, send it to your boss. They'd get it in a digest. So if you're looking for a way to apply strategy to your company, and you're not necessarily using Jira Align, and it's doesn't quite fall within the PPM realm, then Atlas, which is now free, is a really great framework for tracking your goals and then connecting the execution towards those goals to work in Jira and reporting on that. Atlassian themselves would say that you should let teams work in whatever tool they want to. Spreadsheets, Jira, I think they even said Smartsheets and Monday.com. But you should have your strategy and the reporting on execution against that strategy in one central tool that everybody can look at. Whew, that's a lot of talking. If you need any help with any of this, first of all, I hope that we explained enough today that you can go off and make your own choices and do a fantastic job within this ecosystem. If for some reason we didn't explain enough, or if you'd like more information, or if you need some help, Valiantis is the #1 Atlassian Platinum Solution Partner. We have a global presence. We got a lot of stuff here that's pretty fancy. But mostly we are here to make your Atlassian ecosystem work for you. I do this day in and day out, and it's incredibly fun. So if you need any help, let us know. If you want to reach us, we have a lot of, this isn't my slide deck. There we go. We have a lot of upcoming, that's not even my QR codes. Don't worry about that. We have a lot of upcoming webinars and paid classes. Yeah, there we go. Brianna is very, very kindly dropping links in here. So if you need any training, we do free webinars, we do public paid training, we do private paid training. That's really about it. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I hope you found this useful and worthy of your time. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out an email. But yeah, thanks so much for coming, and we really appreciate it. Have a wonderful rest of your day.